having one serving, which is 2 cups of raw leafy greens a day, is very protective against Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. What makes chocolate so impressive is all the antioxidants that it contains. And the most important one is something called flavonols. Soy is not dangerous. There have been many myths disproven more recently that soy is actually one of the best foods you can eat.
I invite the last speaker of the day, Dr. Jennifer Prabhu, to tell you a little bit about her. She's a co-founder and CEO of Cersei Health Private Limited. She's double board certified in MD Pediatrics as well as MD Internal Medicine.
Good evening, everyone. So I think many of the things I'm about to say have been mentioned already, so hopefully not too repetitive, but maybe I can give some additional fun facts as well. So I'm going to be focusing on specific ingredients, probably that most of you can find in your kitchen, and the health benefits associated with them. So we're going to talk about superfoods today, and what exactly is a superfood. Basically, a superfood, which is a key phrase that everyone has heard of, it's one particular ingredient that can cause a multitude of health benefits. So it has multiple vitamins, multiple nutrients, and you just need a small amount to prevent and treat diseases. So why should you try to incorporate them into your diet? Hopefully I'll give you some examples. So I wanted to start with one of my favorite foods, dark chocolate, specifically dark. So dark chocolate means there's no milk solids, there's no dairy, and it has a high concentration of cacao, which is the natural form of chocolate. So that's very important to differentiate. What makes chocolate so impressive is all the antioxidants that it contains. And the most important one is something called flavonols. So flavonols are one of the most powerful antioxidants that we know of. Basically what it does is it increases production of nitric oxide, which relaxes your blood vessels. So that causes lower blood pressure. It also causes lower incidence of heart disease. And it also improves blood flow to the rest of your body. So it's a very, very powerful substance. Also, dark chocolate has lots of minerals. Again, it's a superfood, so it's concentrated within one small little square of dark chocolate. You're getting iron, you're getting magnesium, which helps with mood, you're getting zinc, which helps with immunity, and you're getting phosphorus, which actually helps strengthen bones. And this is something I actually didn't know, but chocolate is actually high in fiber. You take, I guess, 1 or 2 squares, about 30 grams, and you get 4 grams of fiber, which is about 20% of your daily requirement of fiber per day. So that's actually, eating chocolate, don't think about it as a high fiber food, but surprisingly it is. The antioxidants I mentioned, there's one in particular called polyphenol. So of course chocolate tastes good and that makes everyone happy, but it actually is making you happy because of this polyphenol antioxidant. All right, so we just heard about berries. So berries are powerful for preventing cancer and preventing the progression of cancer, but they're also very important for blood sugar. So berries actually directly increase insulin sensitivity. So the opposite of insulin sensitivity is insulin resistance, and that is the cause of type 2 diabetes. So the more berries you have, the higher the more sensitive to insulin your tissues are, and there's less blood sugar floating around in your body. So it's good for patients with diabetes or patients with pre-diabetes. Another thing that makes berries so special is that they have a very high fiber content, and actually the highest fiber content of all fruits. The 2 most important things that fiber does is, one, it slows down how fast food goes through your digestive tract. So it makes you feel full longer. And the second thing that it does is it acts like a broom. So when fiber is going through your intestines, think of it as taking all the bad things with it. It takes fat, it takes chemicals, it takes bad hormones with it, and it exits your body at the end of the day. Also, berries have been shown to directly lower cholesterol, particularly LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol. And there's one study, it was over 8 weeks, adults with metabolic syndrome, so not quite diabetes, but they're obese, they have high blood sugar, high cholesterol. Only 8 weeks, they had a beverage made from freeze-dried strawberries once a day, and they had an 11% drop in their LDL cholesterol, which is comparable to some of the cholesterol-lowering medications that we use. So that's pretty impressive. Also, all berries, but particularly amla, which is not in my picture, are high in vitamin C. And vitamin C is excellent for your immune system. And then finally, berries are also good for your skin. They actually have a component that protects the collagen in your skin, and collagen is what keeps your skin firm and young looking. Okay, so leafy greens, spinach, methi, kale, mustard greens, broccoli greens, one of the healthiest things we can eat by far, and I probably could have listed 5 or 6 other points on here just because they're such an amazing superfood. But one of the more interesting things is how it directly affects your cognition meaning your thinking and your reasoning. So having one serving, which is 2 cups of raw leafy greens a day, is very protective against Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. And one study showed they compared people that ate the leafy greens versus those that had less than the recommended amount. And the people that ate the leafy greens actually had a cognitive age 11 years younger than their counterparts, which is pretty interesting. Also, it's good for bloating. So unfortunately, most of our diets contain a lot of sodium. Sodium makes your body hold on to water, which causes bloating, particularly abdominal bloating. But leafy greens have a lot of potassium. Potassium and sodium are kind of opposites, so that makes your body get rid and diurese the water. So you pee it out and you're not as bloated anymore. Also, leafy greens have lots of vitamin K, lots of calcium. You do not need to have dairy to have calcium. You can have a ton of leafy greens to get better calcium too. So plant-based calcium is a lot better absorbed and better recognized by your body than calcium coming from animal sources. It's protective against your gut. It actually directly strengthens the lining of your gut. And as we heard before, the gut microbiome is so important, not just for your gut health, but for your overall health too. And finally, I think I made up this word, it's anti-autoimmune. So the reason why it prevents autoimmune disease is because there is so much vitamin D in leafy greens. And vitamin D, as I think we learned even more through COVID, is very important for our immunity. So high vitamin D actually strengthens the T cells, which protects us against viruses, bacteria, etc. Soy is one of my very favorite foods, and I get very passionate when people say that soy is bad for you. So soy is not dangerous. There have been many myths disproven more recently that soy is actually one of the best foods you can eat. I always use the example, if soy is so terrible for you and causes cancer and makes men look like women, etc., then, look at China and Japan, and they're all thin and less risk, less incidence of cancer, less incidence of heart disease. The men don't all look like women. So soy is not dangerous. One of the great things about it is an excellent source of protein, one of the best sources of plant-based protein. And then you add in the fact that it also has fiber, so it's a great combination. And it actually reduces the risk of certain cancers, as we just heard. So not only reduces the risk of breast cancer, which is the opposite of what everyone hears, but also prostate, lung, endometrial, ovarian, and the list goes on. I think they're finding more and more. Also, because soy has those phytoestrogens, which are the safe estrogens that our body recognizes when menopause happens and women have to suffer with mood changes and hot flashes, taking in soy produces significantly less menopause symptoms. There's a study in Japan that looked like a retrospective study looking back, and it said, compared to with Western populations that have less soy, the women of Japan had 37% less menopause symptoms. More praise for fermented foods, which in India we're very lucky to have a lot of. So just kind of a reminder of what is fermentation. It's actually an ancient technique for preserving food. So the food is allowed to accumulate various bacteria, fungi, yeast, and they use the natural sugars in the food to create alcohols and acids. And that the alcohol and the acid is what actually preserves the food. been around for thousands of years, so it must mean something, right? Most important thing about the fermented food is they're natural probiotics. So all those good bacteria, the bacteria that our gut needs to stay balanced, is given directly. So you eat it directly from the food and it lives in your gut, as opposed to prebiotics, which take a little longer to work but are also important. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory, again, related to the gut microbiome and gut health. And then finally, we talked a lot about antibiotics. So if you have to take antibiotics for the correct reason, having fermented foods is we recommend that all the time, not just probiotic pills, but fermented foods in particular. So nuts and seeds, again, we heard a lot about these, particularly walnuts are the highest source of something called omega-3 fatty acids, which are so important for cardiovascular health, for brain health, for blood pressure, et cetera. Probably, we hear, at least in the Western world, everyone talks about fish oil and eating fatty fish to get your omega-3s, but you can actually, your body more efficiently absorb the omega-3s from plant-based foods, and nuts and seeds are the best source of that. It's a great snack, again, a handful a day, very satiating because of the high fiber and high protein, does not spike up your blood sugar, so excellent for those with prediabetes and diabetes, and for anyone, honestly. Tons and tons of different vitamins and minerals, particularly vitamin E, so it's another difficult to find vitamin E in plant-based food, but nuts and seeds do have that. Just ending with spices, which is my favorite category. Again, we've heard a lot about turmeric or haldi, I believe one of the most powerful anti-inflammatories in terms of food or as opposed to medication. So many studies, particularly in arthritis, to reduce pain related to arthritis, osteoarthritis, also been shown to improve symptoms of depression, anxiety, which again is brain inflammation. And then the doctor before me was talking about cancer. I believe there are actually some not using it only to treat cancer, but as an adjunct. So taking chemotherapy alone versus chemotherapy and curcumin, which is the chemical component, the important chemical component of turmeric, had a much better response than just plain chemotherapy alone. So it definitely has promise for the future. Cinnamon, again, good for blood sugar. It has a sweet taste without actually having any glucose in it. And it's also an anti-inflammatory as well. Garlic directly improves blood flow and softens the arteries, so it is the opposite of plaque forming, which is good for blood pressure, good for your heart, good for preventing stroke. Cayenne pepper contains capsaicin, which a lot of doctors are using instead of NSAIDs, instead of ibuprofen for pain relief, and no side effects. Cardamom attacks the bad mouth bacteria that causes bad breath, and it also helps with gingivitis, which is inflammation of the gums. Tulsi, it actually directly acts on two groups of immune cells. It makes their numbers become larger. So ginger has been used for a long time as a natural relief for nausea in pregnant women, but also even in patients receiving chemotherapy, and it's also a strong anti-inflammatory. And then methi or fenugreek is again good for patients with diabetes. It actually improves insulin sensitivity, again, similar to many of the other ones I just talked about. I think that's the last one. So we try to practice what we preach about this, really before jumping to pills and crazy fad diets, just gradually changing over to a more plant-based, a more whole food plant-based diet can have incredible results. So hopefully this will become more of a theme as the years go on.